Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show, a Baxter Professional Services production. Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show, where we're experts in nursing and experts in business. I'm Tina Baxter, your host. The Nurse Shark Academy Show highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. Today's episode is how one nurse's adventurous spirit led her to empower others. And today's guest is Carolyn Pritchard. What brought about that change that made you interested in that area of nursing?
So after, I actually met a surgeon at the orthopedic and arthritic hospital, and he had a business, was part of a business at the time of a biomechanical gait analysis, like a company. So I worked for that business out trying to generate sales for about 3 years. And it was that experience that I think opened up that, yes, I like business. So here I am with a nursing degree, but I enjoy that idea of going out and selling and trying to find that, combination of healthcare and business.
Well, see, this is where a lot of nurses struggle is that whole sales piece. So tell us a little bit more about your experience in being in sales because a lot of nurses don't like the idea of being salesy or, get intimidated by that process. So how did you learn the sales process and then what did you learn from doing that?
Yeah. So I think, so specifically what I was doing was going, I would be cold calling primary care offices to say, do you have any patients that have, gait problems or foot problems? Because I could come in, we could do an assessment and determine if there was a need for orthotics. So this is what I did,
Mhm.
and I think I was still providing value to the primary care clinics because they often have patients that need additional care, and then also for the patients, it was convenient for them.
What brought about that change that made you interested in that area of nursing?
So after, I actually met a surgeon at the orthopedic and arthritic hospital, and he had a business, was part of a business at the time of a biomechanical gait analysis, like a company. So I worked for that business out trying to generate sales for about 3 years. And it was that experience that I think opened up that, yes, I like business. So here I am with a nursing degree, but I enjoy that idea of going out and selling um, and trying to find that, combination of healthcare and business.
Well, see, this is where a lot of nurses struggle is that whole sales piece. So tell us a little bit more about your experience in being in sales because a lot of nurses don't like the idea of being salesy or, get intimidated by that process. So how did you learn the sales process and then what did you learn from doing that?
Yeah. So I think, so specifically what I was doing was going, I would be cold calling primary care offices to say, do you have any patients that have, gait problems or foot problems? Because I could come in, we could do an assessment and determine if there was a need for orthotics. So this is what I did,
Mhm.
and I think I was still providing value to the primary care clinics because, they often have patients that need additional care. And and then also for the patients, it was convenient for them.
Break free and come feel the sun with the Nurse Shark Academy. Nurses, are you ready to break free from the grind and build something of your own? It's time to take your skills beyond the bedside and step into entrepreneurship. Join our webinar, Break Free, the Nurse's Path to Entrepreneurship, where you'll learn how to shift your mindset, explore your nurse-owned business ideas, and get the exact steps to launch your own business. This is your time to take control of your career and create a future you love. Seats are limited, so grab yours now. Break free and join the Nurse Shark Academy at thenurseSharkAcademy.biz. And welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show. I'm Tina Baxter, your host. The Nurse Shark Academy Show highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. We interview nurse leaders and encourage them to tell their story. Our mission is for you to own your seat at the table of nurse entrepreneurship, gaining the confidence, skills, and freedom to live your life on your own terms. You will dream big and expand your consciousness as an entrepreneur. Join us and support these wonderful nurse entrepreneurs and leaders. Today's guest is Carolyn Pritchard and co-founder of Bridge Medical Communications. Welcome to the show, Carolyn.
Thank you. Nice to be here, Tina.
Thank you for coming. We've been trying to get together for a while, so I'm so glad we finally got a chance to really talk. And I understand that you are out of Canada, so I just wanted to let our Canadian listeners know that yes, this is one of your own. Okay. All right. So first of all, how's the weather in Canada? Is it okay? Is it better?
It is March, so not a lot of sunshine, but the snow is. Today we had rain, so I know spring is coming. Yes, but thank you very much for having me on your show.
Yeah, we have rain here today too. It snowed last night, but now we have rain, so I'm happy.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so we're going to ask that first question. I always ask our guests, and what made you become a nurse?
Well, my mother thought it was a really good idea because her mother was a nurse, and she had suggested that I consider it because I really like to travel. And she said I would always have a job because we always need nurses, and I could work anywhere in the world.
Okay. All right. So tell me, when you went to nursing school, what was it like for you? Tell us a little bit about your nursing journey.
Yeah. So before I actually went to university for the BSEN program, I joined the Canadian militia, so the reserves in the military as a medic. And I spent my summers on a military base doing basic training as a medic. And that was where I really began to enjoy the idea of helping people generally. So I did go to the BSEN program at McMaster University in Hamilton, Ontario. And it was a fantastic program at the time. And today it is a self-directed program. So it was a little bit different than, traditional, I would say, university nursing programs.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about your military experience. So were you more like, you said in the reserve, so it's like a weekend? I just want to, for some of our listeners,
Exactly.
it's kind of like being in the National Guard, right? Here for the U.S.
Yes. Yeah. You do it on weekends. You, as a young person, you have the opportunity to have employment in the summer. So I spent time at Base Borden here in Ontario. It's close to Barrie, a city. And it was there that really it was, you just learn some of the basics, more of like first aid, survival. And then, it was okay. This is something I want to do. This is healthcare is a space I want to enter. But as a young person, there are so many avenues to go once you have your certifications and education with um, behind you.
Yeah, there is nursing is one of those fields where you can jump into just about any specialty that interests you. So tell me about your when you went to make masters. Where did you gravitate in your clinical training? Where was your first nursing job?
Um, so in the program, we had different locums. So very traditional, like a med surge unit, um, an oncology unit. We did pediatrics. We did a maternity rotation. Um, we did a psychiatry rotation. Um, but it was really, I think, as I was finishing, um, I wasn't sure. Like, that's the thing about nursing. What is it that you, as you say, the different specialties? I wasn't sure what to do.
Okay, yeah. So where did you end up when you
Yeah.
graduated? Where did you go?
Well, at the time, so that was in the 1990s, and in Ontario, it was very difficult to get a job.
Okay,
Um, so I had my some classmates go and work in the U.S. down in the Carolinas, and still one of my best friends is down in Asheville, North Carolina. Um, and for me, at the time, because my mother had passed away while I was in nursing school, um, I ended up staying home um, and close to my father at the time. So it was difficult to get a job. So I went back to school and did a specialization in operating room nursing and did a certificate at a community college.
okay. So which is very fascinating because in the U.S. it's a little bit different, and this is why I wanted to have this conversation. Is because in the U.S. you get like your generalist degree, and then you kind of go into whatever field. Usually it's med surge. They always tell people to go to med surge first,
Yeah.
but you kind of choose your specialty, and if you happen to get picked up in that specialty, you get a job. They'll train you in that specialty.
Ah,
And so it's a little bit different. So if you wanted to advance in that specialty, like do advanced practice nursing or a clinical nurse specialist or something like that, you would go back to school. But generally, you find your place, and they train you on the job.
I think they probably do that here too, um, especially now because
Hmm.
there's such a demand for nurses. But at that time, because I couldn't get a full time job, I couldn't specialize in anything. They wouldn't even take resumes back then. And I would plead them. I'd walk into the hospital. I'd go to the HR and I'd say, "You have to take my resume because I'll never get a job if you don't." Um,
Yeah,
so but I'm sure today they would pick you up and train you in a specialty.
yeah, yeah. So when I finished nursing school, I went right into psychiatry because that's where I wanted to be, and I was already burnt out in mid surge as a tech.
Yes.
I
Okay.
just I just didn't want to do that. I guess I've been doing the medical stuff for so long, as a tech and CNA and lab and all this kind of stuff. I wanted to get into my specialty that I felt like I was called to do. And so when the opportunity happened, I took it and ran with it.
Yes. And that's what I think for young nurses graduating, if they're able to get into a specialty that they want to right away, I think that's fantastic to get focused because I think it's important to develop those skills and create a specialty.
So you eventually went into surgery. It sounds like you were doing the
Yes.
surgical rotation. And how was that like being an operating room nurse?
Yeah, I loved it at the time. Um, it was, the non-traditional nursing hours, because prior to that I was doing contract work that
Hmm.
I would get, calls for any shift. But in the operating room, at the time, they were only operating from 7 till 3, like day shifts. So that was a huge advantage of the operating room. But also, working with a team and consistently, I really enjoyed orthopedics. And so I did that for a number of years.
Yeah, when you find your specialty and you find that core team that you love working with, it's
Yes.
hard when the team breaks up, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that is generally about the workforce, is that, it's finding like-minded people to work with, since you're with them every day. So I worked at Mount Sinai Hospital here in Toronto in the orthopedic surgery, and then we have a specialty hospital that's called, at the time was called Orthopedic and Arthritic Hospital, and it's now, part of our larger Sunnybrook network. But it was fantastic because it was just orthopedics in that hospital.
So you mentioned that they changed the way they're teaching nursing at McMaster. You said it's a um, sort of like a you self scheduling or something. Can you kind of explain it a little bit more?
It was a self-directed program, and it still is, like, it is internationally recognized for this, both its nursing, life sciences, and medicine program. Um, and I think I didn't know it at the time, but um, you know, we would work with faculty, and we'd be able to be involved in more about what we were learning and how we were learning it, more hands on and more, um, I would say face to face, not your traditional, just exams.
Yes, yes. I think particularly with the pandemic and everything, a lot of the nursing students were kind of cheated out of those clinical hours where you had hands on with the patient. And I know that a lot of students either struggled with that or they were new grads and they hadn't really passed their tests yet. But
Yeah.
they, since they were senior nurses, right, senior nursing students, and they were just graduated, they just made them graduate nurses and put them to work and just threw them to the wolves.
Uh,
And
yeah, I think
yeah.
about that today. I mean,
Hmm.
I think nursing students, like, that is such a transition between graduating their program and out in the workforce, and I think mentorship programs, are really valued in those situations.
I so agree. I mean, my own experience was you got maybe 3, 4 weeks of training, and then you were, you know, literally on the day I was off of my training, I was in training on second shift, and on third shift, I became charge nurse.
Yes, and I know. Yeah,
Yeah, within 24 hours, I was charge nurse.
yeah.
And so, so what was it? What would you say was the highlight of your nursing career? Is there a case or a patient that really stuck out to you that you felt like was, made you feel like you were actually where you wanted to be?
Um, well, the thing about the operating room is there isn't a lot of patient interaction. I was often a scrub nurse, which is someone who's with the physicians at the table. So that, I would say, in my experience, is what led me probably to move from clinical practice out into um, where I am today, that I'm, trying to have more patient interaction.
Okay, all right, all right. Well, that's good to hear because sometimes you hear the opposite of people running away from patient interaction, unfortunately. And,
Right.
and I do know some nurses that personally went into other areas. And if that's your case, and I'm not shaming anyone, if you know that you prefer to be behind the scenes, then other areas you should be in, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of nurses would, escape the bedside to go to nursing informatics, or be on quality improvement teams because they didn't want to have that day to day by the bedside, talk to the patient for, they got burnt out on that. And so that's
Yeah.
okay. Some people do case management so that they're a little bit further away from the day to day of being on the ward, So,
I should clarify because I don't currently have patient interaction.
mhm,
Um, but what I do is working towards improving patient care, I guess.
yes.
Um,
So,
yeah.
what led you to looking at a way to improve patient care? What brought about that change that made you interested in that area of nursing?
So after well, I actually met a surgeon at the orthopedic and arthritic hospital, um, and he had a business, was part of a business at the time of a biomechanical gait analysis, like company. So I worked for that business, out trying to generate sales for about 3 years. And it was that experience that I think um, opened up that, yes, I like business. So here I am with a nursing degree, but I enjoy that idea of going out and selling um, and trying to find that combination of um, healthcare and business.
Well, see, this is where a lot of nurses struggle, is that whole sales piece. So, tell us a little bit more about your experience in being in sales, because a lot of nurses don't like the idea of being salesy, or get intimidated by that process. So, how did you learn the sales process, and then what did you learn from doing that?
Yeah. So I think so specifically what I was doing was going I would be cold calling primary care offices to say, do you have any patients that have, gait problems or foot problems? Because I could come in, we could do an assessment and determine if um, there was a need for orthotics. So this is what I did,
Mhm.
and I think I was still providing value to the primary care clinics because they often have patients that need additional care, and and then also for the patients, it was convenient for them. So I think it was, you know, um, working with the primary care physicians and feeling that I was bringing value to the patients that gave me positive reinforcement of what I was doing. But that cold calling was really the sales part of it, right? Trying to find clinics that I could go into.
Well, even in that, because if you're going to make a cold call, you approached it though from a way of adding value to the clinic and also to the patient. So it was a win-win-win all around, as opposed to just pushing a product or service that
Yes.
only benefits you. And I
Yes.
think that mindset shift is so needed when we talk about sales, particularly in helping professions, because what you're really doing is offering to help others, just in a different way.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And I think you know, I did that for, a number of years until I felt like, okay, what else can I do um, to build on my skills? So that's when I went out and I didn't realize that there are marketing agencies that work with biotech companies and pharmaceutical companies to help them get their product out and made aware of by healthcare providers. I know in the US you have direct to consumer advertising on all these, like pharmaceutical products. We don't have that
Yeah.
in Canada. We really focus on, providing that information to the healthcare providers.
Hmm.
But I think as a nurse, I had no idea that these different um, areas existed. It was just like in you even in my nursing program, nobody talked about anything other than traditional nursing
Yes.
jobs.
Yes.
And I think that's what's really important is letting health like students know that there's so many opportunities today. We have a lot more um, what we call like med biotech programs at university. So I think a lot of those students come into the business, but there's still a huge opportunity for nurses because there's a lot of roles that require more clinical expertise.
There are. There are. And I talked to a nurse who is an inventor, and
Oh,
she invented a device for Foley catheters. And she's got her business up and running. She's gotten her all her patents and everything that she needs, and got the manufacturer. So she's really pushing, and she's at the point of launching um, worldwide.
wow.
She's make trips to places like Dubai. She just came back from Dubai a few weeks ago. Talking about this device, and so, but a lot of nurses don't realize that that's still nursing, because she took what she knew from nursing in her everyday clinical work and said, you know what? We have more infections with our Foley catheters because we're not taking care of scrubbing the hub, as you say, cleaning them off like we used to. We've lost some of that practice. So they put in the research to prove that her device would help. And then now she's has her own company doing that very thing. And it's because she was a nurse that she came up with that.
Yes. Yep.
And so how did you get into then your company, the Bridge Medical Communications? How did you come up with that?
Okay. So I mentioned that I worked for an advertising agency
Hmm.
um, for a number of years. And then I thought, well, it would be good experience to work for a pharmaceutical company. So I transitioned over to a marketing role. And my first opportunity, um, and I believe the reason that I was hired for that role is because I had hospital experience. And the product that I was hired to work on was a antibiotic that was used in hospital only. So,
Hmm.
um, they really wanted to understand how to navigate through the hospital and who would be, the advocates to support this antibiotic and what, to get that product on hospital formulary. So that was my entry into marketing, and I think it is because I was a nurse. After that role, I did work on other products in, asthma products and cardiovascular products. And then I I really I think missed working directly with healthcare providers. And so I was given an opportunity by a mentor to run a medical education company here in Toronto. Um, and so I was the general manager for about 7 years at that company. And that's where I met my business partner, Lori Spence, who is a co founder at Bridge Medical Communications. So we worked together and worked really well and felt that, we could even do more. And so we talked about what that would look like. Um, and set up our own agency. and plan and, set out those goals and build out a business plan. And then we decided to go for it, basically.
That sounds great. And so, what your explain to our listeners what it is that your business does.
Yes. So Bridge Medical Communications, as I mentioned, is a medcom agency. So we bridge the healthcare industry, or the pharmaceutical industry or biotech companies with healthcare providers. So let's say a pharmaceutical company is bringing a new product into Canada, and they have to start to begin to create a plan of how they're going to bring this product and implement it into clinical practice. So we work with them and set up, opportunities for healthcare providers to provide insights of important insights for them to know how to bring that product to market. So, it might be through medical education. It might be through consultancy type meetings, practice reflective exercises. There's different offerings that we have that depending on the need.
Okay, so
Does
that's very helpful to understand. So you're becoming like the like sort of like the advertising consultant to these companies, and helping them to translate what they have so that the medical providers can know how to use it effectively.
So yes, the only nuance is that there are many regulations in this process. So we're not an advertising agency or a commercial agency. We are a medical communication agency, and we follow what's called Innovative Medicines of Canada here, the guidelines. So it's not advertising, but it's more the medical focus.
Putting the information into a marketing package for the healthcare provider.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. And so, how long has your business been up and running?
So this is our 14th year.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And we launched a new division in 2020 called Connect. And Connect is really trying to bring the patient closer to the industry. So how can, I think through different modalities such as point of care tools, we support the implementation of innovative therapies.
Okay, that's wonderful. So, okay, so that brings me to someone wanted to utilize your services, or someone's listening in Canada, and they really want to get an understanding of how to bring their product to market. If you're a nurse inventor out there in Canada and you've got an invention and you want to bring your product to market, and all those different things that have to happen, how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, we have a website at bridgemedcoms.com, and also on LinkedIn. I would say are the two probably easiest ways to connect.
Okay, great. We'll have all those, the website and the social media handles in our show notes for our listeners. If you wanted to hop on over there and get an appointment with either Lori or Carolyn, and you can talk to them about their services, that'd be great. And so my last question, before I go to that, you do also have a YouTube channel. What's on your YouTube channel?
No, we don't have a YouTube channel.
Really? Because I see YouTube at Bridge Medcoms.
No, I think some, maybe some interviews are on YouTube, but not a channel.
Okay. Okay. And I see you're on Instagram.
Yes, we do have Bridge Medical Communications on Instagram, and we did have We do have a Facebook page as well.
Okay, great. All right. So be sure to put all those things on there. And so I want to say, um, for our last question before we wrap up today, if you had a piece of advice for a budding entrepreneur, what would it be?
I would say if you're thinking about ideas that you can improve and bring value, and you have a problem that you can solve with your business, I would say go for it, and not, you know, be intimidated by not having a business background. One of the things that I think is really fantastic is finding someone else that you could partner with. I think the co-founder relationship that Lori and I have has really brought value to our business, but also to me personally. To not have had to been a sole entrepreneur, to have somebody that provides support in the business as well, I think is really, I would say find someone else, and there's lots of people out there that also might share your passion.
Okay, well, that sounds wonderful. And so for our listeners here, find somebody that be your person, your support person, your business partner that helps shares your passion. And I want to thank you for your time, Carolyn. Did you have any final words that you wanted to say before we wrap up?
Uh, just to thank you again, Tina, for hosting. I think the Nurse Shark Academy is fantastic. And for all your listeners out there, as a nurse, there are so many opportunities for specialization above and beyond that med surge ward.
Yes, definitely. All right. Well, that ends our show today. I want to thank you for tuning in and listening. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you are alerted to every time we have a new episode come out. And then also, if you're listening to us through Podbean or wherever you get your podcast, please leave us a like or a comment. We greatly appreciate it. And don't forget, if you become a patron, we do have special episodes that will be available for our patrons only to give you a behind the scenes look into the world of business. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Nurses, are you burnt out, frustrated, looking for something new? Are you looking for more? Nurses, are you ready to feel the sun? You will dream big and expand your consciousness as an entrepreneur. Your nursing license is your key to freedom. Join the Nurse Shark Academy at the nursesharkacademy.biz today. Thank you for listening to the Nurse Shark Academy show wherever you get your podcasts or watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you'll know when all of our episodes come out. If you want further information, you can contact us on the nursesharkacademy.biz.